AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Robert Chen. Robert is the head of AI for Compass. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you, JP, and I'm very glad to be here.
No, it's our pleasure. So let's start with a background of yourself. Your first venture into tech, when you got started, your journey, some of the roles you've held along the way, taking us up to your current position here at Compass.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so it's like when I was 18 years old, I was very fascinating, playing a video game. So I choose the computer science to be my major. And then after I head into a computer science world, it's so fascinating. You can do so much thing with the software. But the thing is, when I graduated, I got a little confused. What can my skill to do for the world? So I decided, okay, I probably want to do some real work before I decide the next step. So I joined a search engine company, which is focus on search the Chinese articles. So there I learned a lot, from the cover, from the indexing, and then also from organize the information. So I decided my knowledge is not good enough. I want to pursue for more knowledge in the computer science, especially in the information retrieval and the machine learning. So I joined Carnegie Mellon to start my PhD. I was working on the video retrieval, which combined what I want to learn more about the information retrieval, but also extend to the multimedia domain. So then after my PhD, I decided to join Microsoft because we see machine learning is widely used on several areas. Search is definitely one. Advertising platform is another one. Recommendation definitely is another big one. So I decided to join the area I'm not familiar with, which is advertising. So I work on the Bing ads for the relevance. And then after all, I moved to the Bing News team to working on the news recommendation and then also a personalized news. So after working in Microsoft for 7 years, and then I feel I gain a lot of knowledge in building a scalable machine learning system. So I decided I want to leverage my skill to the area I'm really feel passionate about, which is the real estate. Because real estate is, I would say the last segment, a big a financial segment, not really have a huge a disruption. So I want to explore opportunity there, and then also I like house. So I spend a lot of time viewing the house, during the weekend. So I decided I want to go to Zillow, because first I'm in Seattle, and then Zillow is in the real estate basically. So I joined Zillow, and then working in the machine learning department, I was working on a couple projects personalization, advertising, and then also lead routing in Zillow. After working in Zillow for about 2.5 years, I was looking for a more challenging. And then I see the post Joseph Shiraj decided to join Compass, which is Joseph is a person I respect a lot when I was in Microsoft. So I decided okay, that's a good time for me to leverage my knowledge to join the Compass to work with Joseph. So that's my journey to the Compass. And then in Compass, I was managing the machine learning AI team here. I oversee all the machine learning AI in Compass.
Amazing. Well, look, thank you for that background. Really interesting, and unsurprisingly, often interest as a child can lead to exploring possible careers, and it's great to see the path that you've laid out. And obviously, Microsoft it's a great place to learn and cut your teeth. So, taking us up to Compass. So, look, anyone interested in real estate, Compass is one of the most well-known brands. But if you wouldn't mind give us a bit of a holistic overview of who Compass are as a business, and then talking about your role within the organization.
Sure, definitely. So the goal for the Compass is to build a end-to-end platform solution for the agent to optimize their workflow. So the Compass suite of the software tools acts as an open system for our agents, making them more efficient by doing things like optimize their workflow, pricing property more accurately, and then determine the best time to list. The platform integrates listing, transaction, and the individual client data, giving agents personalized recommendation and insight. This enables agents to tailor their service to the specific needs of each client. So right now, Compass is has about 500 people in the product and the engineering team, building and then improving our platform. And then our leader, Joshua Suraj, who is the former CTO at Microsoft and also CPO Greg Hart, worked at Amazon for 23 years, lead and create and launch the Alexa, and then most recently working in a Prime Video. So they are the leader for the P&E department. And then my role in Compass is really oversee the whole AI and the machine learning developing. So let's look at the real estate. Real estate is has a massive opportunity here. And then it's the one, like I mentioned before, it's one of the last industry for the massive disruption. And then in the core of the real estate, there's 2 million real estate agents in the country. And then there's no end-to-end platform streaming their day-to-day work before Compass. And then from AI or machine learning perspective, there are 3 major problems we want to solve. The first one is home valuation. The second one is audience targeting. The last one is a personalized end-to-end solution. And then the challenge for that is first is the real estate data is very fragile. It's over 900 MLS there. And then all the agents have their own database or their CIM data, and then public data, and also for the government-owned public data all have a different format and a different restriction. So how to basically integrate those data, leverage those data, and then be able to provide the service agent likes and then make them more efficient. That's the opportunity, and then that's my core competency in Compass AI.
Well, look, clearly with not just yourself, but your colleagues who you mentioned coming from the likes of Amazon and Microsoft, there's an opportunity here for real disruption, which is always the most exciting part of technology. So you've laid out some of the challenges in the industry. So could you talk to us about how Compass is solving those challenges within the real estate industry, how you're utilizing data science and AI to overcome these challenges?
Yeah, thanks for the question. This is a very great question. I think traditionally when people talk about AI, a lot of people will think about AI will replace the human being. I think it's in the real estate, Compass doesn't look at that way. We look at how can we bring the artificial intelligence to the agent intelligence. The challenge here is because the agent is the core in the real estate. So the client trusts the agent. They ask him for the help for the agent. So they respect the agent, and then they basically build their connection with the agent. But the thing is, agent has tremendous experience in the market, provide a lot of value to the client. But sometimes it's they need help, basically. So the way we think about the artificial intelligence in Compass is we are using the artificial intelligence to prepare to bring the information and then the tool for the agent to basically can perform their job much better. Take example. So when we talk about the home valuation, a lot of people will think about a house price prediction or a AVM, the automated value machine, basically create the value to evaluate the home. But in Compass, we don't look that problem this way. We are looking at a problem is the agent is very good at to create the the CMA. So it's a competitive marketing analysis, which is use the comparable home and then to tell like what's the value of your home. And then the way we use the artificial intelligence is helping them to select those comparable home. And then also like because every home is unique. And then even that's a comparable home, there will be some difference to the subject for home. So we create like the recommendation saying like, what's the difference between this home and that home? Based on that difference, what's the value we have to A or minus from that home? So that's the way like a Compass solve using the artificial intelligence and also the machine learning to help the agent to be more effective. Because we know like the agent is core in the industry. And then our mission is really like provide a tool, provide the knowledge, provide the data to help them to be more effective and more productive.
That's good. That's great. And I'm sure agents are already benefiting massively from the work that you're doing. So focusing then on AI, artificial intelligence, and the science behind, what you're doing. Could you give us some examples of projects that you and your team are working on?
Yeah, definitely. So there are a couple of like exciting projects we are working on right now. The first one is the search. Search is like a fundamental like a tool like everyone use it, agent use it, consumer use it. So the search has a lot of underlying knowledge we can learn from the user behavior and then also from the agent behavior, and then reflect on the search ranking. So we work on the search relevancy. We work on the search recommendation. That's the project we are working on. And then the second one we are working on is like I described about the home valuation. We basically provide use the model to predict like the price difference between two homes, and then also the location, and then also the value of, they say, a lake view or a swimming pool, and then provide those like adjustment when the agent create the CMA report. We also work on a project called the Compass Lamps, because Compass provide the agent a service who can facilitate their client, which is they can apply Compass. They can apply the concierge budget. The concierge budget will help the agent to prepare the home, either do some like a minor remodeling or like do some like a staging, and then for the home to basically like a full-life the strength of the home, and then make it like a higher price or like it's easier to sell. So we have a project basically use the computer vision, try to compare like oh, this is the home before the remodeling, and then after the remodeling, what changed, what's the value change, and then they provide a search tool for the agent. The agent can look at the historical, all the concierge project, and then try to estimate like for his current listing, what kind of remodeling he has to put into, what is the cost, and then also like what's the benefit coming from that remodeling. So that's a project we are working on. And then we are
No, that's a lot. I was just going to say, you guys cover almost the full range of potential use cases for data science, from recommendation systems, computer vision, to data modeling and analytics. So it's obviously very exciting. So looking then at your own team, obviously, well, taking first of all Compass, how has it grown since you've been there? How big is it as an organization? And then focusing on your own data team. What's the current structure?
So Compass right now has more than 16,000 agents. And then about like 1 year, 3 months ago, when I joined Compass, we possibly have only like 150 P&E employments. So P&E is a product and engineering, including product manager and engineer. But right now we have more than 500 P&E employees, and then we are also looking for expand like a couple more in the next couple months. And then for my own organization, we have about like a 20 plus like a machine learning scientists and then machine learning engineers working on both of the projects.
So that's on both coasts. So you've got an office in Seattle, but you also have a presence here on the East Coast as well, correct? And you run both sides.
Yes, we actually have a 3 development center. One is in New York City, the other one is in Seattle, and then we recently just started a development center in Hyderabad, India.
Amazing, amazing. Okay. I'd love to get your take on current events, particularly how has COVID and shelter in place changed how you and your teams work together?
This is a very unique environment, and then I believe no one really faced this situation before, at least for our generation. So right now we are basically act as a all virtual team, and then all in the remote environment. So all the meeting, all the stand up, all the discussion is through the video conference, and then everyone stayed at home. And then the interesting thing is we actually didn't see the productivity drop during this virtual environment. In the beginning, people are a little bit struggle, for example, setting up their environment, create the quiet a working space. But after it stabilized, we actually see the productivity boost. We have a more feature release in the past 2 months, and then we also have basically a more line of the code checking, and then also a more a deployment. So actually Compass for the engineering team is adapting very well for this virtual environment, and then also adapt very well for this a remote working style.
That's
And
amazing.
then, yeah, and then one more thing I want to address is because basically this situation slow down a lot of activities. It's also a time for the agent to really think about what the technology can really help them to be more productive. So we see agent use this time to basically start to organize their CRM, and then basically to get taking a learning classes to understand the technology, and then also and they also try the new technology we just released for the next 2 months, and then we see the technology adoption rate increased by a lot for the past 2 years. I think this is also the moment all the digital transformation, all the technology transformation will happen as well.
Amazing, amazing. Final question for you. I'd love to get your take on what you look for as you've built and grown out your own data team. Specifically focus on individual candidates. How do you identify strong profiles, and what do you screen for in the interview process?
Yeah, so this is a good question. So we all know right now a lot of industry is going very hard for the machine learning and AI because there's a lot of success there, and then there's actually a lot more success can come in very soon. So definitely this is very competitive environment. But there's a couple a very important thing I'm looking for the candidates. The first thing is you have to be passionate about what you are doing. And then for our cases, you have to be patient about the real estate because I think a machine learning have a lot of usage. There's a lot of sector or a lot of area you can explore. But if you don't really go into the domain knowledge, doesn't really spend time to understand what your customer is looking for, and then the job will become a little bit boring or a little bit unchallenging for you. So definitely one thing is you need to love the real estate. And then of course we are looking for a very solid experience on building scalable software solution. When a lot of people talking about the machine learning, and then people will think about I can use a scikit-learn, I can build a model, but in reality is no matter what kind of model or what kind of the test you are doing, you need to be able to transfer that to be a software solution, and then be able to provide an API for the product to utilize the model, right? So the software engineering skill is definitely a very important, even for the machine learning scientists or for the data scientists. And then of course the next level is you need to have the solid knowledge and then experience on building the machine learning model, and then also evaluation model. But there's one even more important criteria is you need to have the kind of mindset, be able to transform what the business need to a machine learning task. Because I see a lot of a candidate, they are very strong at the building a model, but they build a model assume there is like a one known question or one known problem out there. But in reality is there's a lot of scenarios like we don't actually know what's the right model to build. So you need to look at what the what business really needs, and then basically change that business need to be a learnable task. So that's also like a very important characteristic I'm looking for.
Thank you for that, Robert. Well, look, this has been an amazing interview. It's great to hear some of the work you guys are doing at Compass. Clearly, innovating and revolutionizing how real estate is done. Anyone who's used the application knows its benefits, and it's exciting to hear what's coming down the line. And a lot of great learns and pieces of advice here for anyone interested, not just in AI, but AI within real estate. So thank you again. Congrats on everything, and we look forward to seeing what you guys can accomplish in the near term.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. For more information, contact mark@alldus.com. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.